Just brought my dog in. I had to take the dog outside for a walk.
All right. Can I interview about Michael Jordan right now? Is this a good time?
Sure. Did you get those? I sent you a few pictures. Did you get them?
Yes, I just got them. Oh, that is so cool. All right, thank you so much. All right.
And I'll explain each of those pictures if you'd like.
Oh, yeah, I would absolutely love that.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'll let you start, and we'll go from there.
All right. Hi, Miss Pamela. I'm here today to talk to you about, I have a few questions for you about Jordan and his early career. All right. Can you explain those images for us that you sent us?
Okay, well, the Carolina can, which is the blue cola can, was the Carolina championship that he won in 1982 at Carolina. And Carolina had been in the NCAA playoffs, but they had not won a championship since 1957.
Wow.
Yeah, they had been in the playoffs, but they had not actually won until Michael came in. And if you'll notice on that can, it'll say the championship, and on the second picture of that can, it'll have his name where it says Mike Jordan instead of Michael. He was just at that point known as Mike.
That is so cool. Thank you. Will you explain the more of the pictures that you sent us?
The calendar that I sent you a picture of is a picture that back in the 80s.
Which one's the calendar?
The calendar, it's the one that has the pictures of all the players and Mike Jordan, and it's an autograph.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
There's two pictures. One is of Michael with his autograph where it just said Mike, and he signed it Michael. And the other is the whole calendar. But back then, they used to actually, the teams used to go and they would meet somewhere in a public place, and people could come and get calendars and things autographed that the team had promoting the team. And that was the Carolina team promotion calendar that year. And all the players were there, and they would sign the calendars, and Dean Smith and Roy Williams and all of them were there as well. It was a big promotion. They all actually signed calendars.
Wow.
So you could actually meet the team and the coaches in public.
That's
they don't
crazy.
do that anymore.
Yeah. All right. Can you explain a couple other of the images that you sent?
I think I sent you a picture of the watch.
Oh, yeah. You said, yeah.
A lot of people think that Nike was Michael's sponsor, and he was. Nike didn't come in the picture, though, until 84. Michael, when he was in his collegiate years, had other sponsors, and one of them was Wilson. Mm-hmm. And Wilson was the sporting company, of course, that made the basketball.
The basketballs, yeah.
And if you'll notice that picture of that watch, that is Michael Jordan. And when the watch is wound up and it's working, the basketball goes around. It's the second hand, and when it goes around, it goes through the basket.
That's so cool.
If you'll notice, it's a Wilson watch, and also Gatorade. If you'll notice the picture of Michael literally off the ground in that jump shot, Gatorade was also a sponsor back in the early days for Michael. And he was doing the slam dunk tournament in that picture. And if you'll notice in the back, it'll say Gatorade. And that's how he got to be known as Air Jordan. Yeah. Most of the pictures in the early 80s, Michael was literally off the ground.
Wow. All right, can you explain to me the baseball season highlights picture?
Well, of course, Michael, he actually, before he started playing basketball, he actually played baseball for a number of the local people in the area. One of them was a grocery store called Parker's, and they sponsored a youth baseball team, and he played on it. And then there was Godwin Oil Company, which was a local company that was pretty much just, they sold gas and oil, heating oil locally, and they sponsored a baseball team. But Michael's true passion was baseball, and he was pretty good at it. His brother played basketball, and as he got out of the junior leagues and the Pee Wee leagues, he started getting more interested in baseball. I mean, basketball instead of the baseball, because he and his brother, as he got older, started playing basketball together at home.
Do you think if Michael Jordan would have stuck to baseball instead of branching off into basketball, do you think he'd be a baseball? I mean, do you think he'd be an all-star in baseball?
Yeah, I really do, because Michael was athletic. He could do. Regardless of what sport he played, I think he would have done well. Maybe even been a major league player and been in the Hall of Fame for all we know. And that's because he was very determined. He set goals and he focused on those goals. He wasn't the kind of person that would accept he couldn't do. He worked diligently. There was times that he knew the man that was the janitor at Laney High School was a friend of Michael's dad. And the janitor would let Michael in the gymnasium before classes. And Michael would go to school in the morning. Instead of being out there with all the other kids, cutting up and being foolish, he was in the gym and he was practicing basketball because he really wanted to learn. And it was his desire to be good at what he did. And one of his things was he wanted to beat his brother. His brother actually played for Laney on the varsity team. And Michael, being younger, played in the junior varsity.
Wasn't his brother a lot shorter than him?
Well, actually, he was. Larry wasn't as tall as Michael, but Michael, and I've got a magazine about Michael's life that was done in the Wilmington Star News. And Michael, when I went to school with Michael, he was the average size guy. He wasn't as tall as he was. We went on summer break, and the very next year, in 1979, when he came back to school, he had a growth spurt over the season. He went from and it's even quoted in the magazine that he went from 5'8" to 6'1" over the summer. Wow. He was huge. And there was, a big rumor that Michael was cut from the junior varsity team because he wasn't good at basketball. And that's all just a myth. That's not actually what happened. The coach had one position available on the team. And there were two players that were both very good on the junior varsity team. One of them was Michael, and the other was a guy named Leroy, and he was actually 6'1", and Michael was 5'8".
That's why I picked the other guy.
Exactly, because of the height. Now, that was in junior varsity, but when Michael came back after his junior year, he was bigger.
Yeah.
So, of course, he was, chosen for the varsity team. And, of course, they seen how good he was. And that just inspired him to continue. And actually, the coach and the school, Laney, back then, the scouts didn't come to a school like Laney because we weren't that big. It was a fairly new school, and they were going to the bigger schools in the bigger cities. And the director of the academic department actually reached out to Chapel Hill and
Oh.
asked for somebody to come and said, hey, we've got this amazing talent down here. Somebody needs to come and check him out. So they actually came down, and it was funny because Roy Williams was supposed to come, and he couldn't come, so Bill Guthrie wound up coming.
Yeah.
And then they all went back and talked to Dean, and Dean came down to meet with Michael and his parents.
Uh-huh.
And Michael wasn't there. He didn't show up. He was
Oh.
playing basketball. Yeah, Dave Smith met his mom and dad, but Michael wasn't there for the meeting.
Man. Do you think...
You don't stand Dean Smith up and expect to get put on the team.
Yeah. Was he good academically?
He was average. He actually, once he got out of high school and got into college, he focused as much academically on what he wanted to do, and he actually studied business.
Yeah, that's why he was so good, like, off the court and, like, getting sponsorship deals.
Exactly, because when he was at Carolina, he was focused on business, and of course, that's why he was able to do such a great deal with Nike.
Yeah.
Him and his mother put together this, concept, and they were pretty, straightforward with Nike, and that's how he became, and that's how he's so successful today.
Yeah.
He is still very oriented, and he did buckle down. When he was in school, he was the average kid. He was a prankster. He would do stuff like put shaving cream in people's hats, or throw spitballs across the room, or take books from somebody's desk and hide them in somebody else's desk.
Man.
He was just the average cut-up kid. But then he did buckle down when he got to college and started taking life serious.
Yeah.
And that's where he really kind of excelled, not just in athletics, but in his business life and his personal life as well.
Do you think his decision to go to North Carolina was trying to stay close to home and, like, be still connected to his roots?
I do. His mother, his father, his sister, his brother were all here. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people don't know that Michael actually early in his career while he was still at Carolina, believe it or not, he bought a manufacturing plant in Monroe, which was right outside of Charlotte, because Michael had moved his family there, and it was, everybody's heard of the commercials that they used to do when Michael used to be a big sponsor with Hanes t-shirts. Well, he actually bought a Hanes plant and became partners with a Hanes corporation.
Yeah.
And he did that so that he could move he gave it to his father, and his father run and operated the plant. And he moved everybody closer to him right outside of Monroe, North Carolina, which is right outside of Charlotte.
Yeah. That's so cool. When was the point at your school when they realized, like, he was super talented and he might go pro?
I think probably when the scout, when Bill Guthrie came down and the chatter was that they were there to see Michael, we had a huge rivalry game against, of course, the rival there in town. There was another high school, and they were our rival. And Michael had done so well in the playoffs. This was the championship for kind of like our little area. And it was a school rivalry, and we were all hyped up, and we knew that a scout was going to be in. And I think that Michael knew it, and he was playing his best. And I think everybody kind of realized that he had the ability, and it was just him staying focused. He was working with the coach on the basics and the fundamentals of basketball over the summer. And I think when he came back in his senior year, you could tell a huge difference. But his drive and determination were there, and I think that probably was when we all realized that he had grown over over the summer and was a whole different player, and he was good.
What is it like to see him succeed while you knew him growing up?
Oh, well, anytime, I personally think that anytime, regardless of whether, I knew him personally or not, I think it's an amazing feat that a local person can grow and prosper. And he's always been able to give back, and he's never really forgotten. He's not arrogant. He has never forgotten his roots. Even to this day, he still gives to Lane. He pays for all the athletical equipment for both the junior varsity and varsity men and women's basketball. And that's everything from the shoes to the balls and the nets and anything else that they may need. He has donated a lot of money to different local charities in Wilmington, and he has a charitable heart. He, for his 60th birthday, he donated $10 million to St. Jude.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's something that a lot of sports figures and celebrities don't do. They kind of keep it all to themselves. But Michael he was raised by good parents. He has standards and morals, and I think that pretty much has never left him. He has 5 children.
He does? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he has. He was married to his first wife, Joanna, and she actually had 2 boys and a girl. Mm-hmm. They're all grown. But then his second marriage, he's got a set of twin girls.
Whoa.
And you very seldom see them, and they're probably 10-ish. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're probably about 10 or 11 years old. But he's got a set of twin girls.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he does. He has a set of twin daughters, and he's married. His first wife was Afro-American. His second wife is white. Mm-hmm. Actually, I think she's Italian. But, yeah, he's got 2 precious little girls.
All right, this is one of my last questions. Do you think he is the GOAT or the best basketball player to ever live?
Oh, yes. I've been a basketball fan, and then there's been some great ones, don't get me. But there's never going to be another Michael. And
you're right, yeah.
LeBron can say anything he wants. He would never hold a candle statistically to Michael. And think about this, too. They retired number 23, brought it out of retirement. And that was another thing, after Michael's dad died, he retired and
went to baseball.
When he retired, he said he would never come back to basketball and play another game because his dad wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
But his mother encouraged him to go back and do what he loved to do, and that was basketball. So when he came back in 95, they made him wear a different jersey number because number 23 had been retired.
Yeah, didn't he wear 45?
He did. David Stearns told him every time he walked, when he put on jersey 45, he didn't have it. He said it didn't have the mojo. He just didn't feel right wearing it. And 45 was Larry, his brother's uniform number. And he didn't feel right wearing it.
Yeah.
So he said he couldn't get his rhythm. He wanted to wear 23. And David Stearns told him that it was retired and he couldn't. Michael would go on and wear it anyway. And every time he walked on the court wearing 23, they would fine him $10,000. And Michael said, it's just money. I'm going to play this game. I'm going to play in my jersey. So they literally brought his jersey out of retirement.
Yeah, Michael Jordan seemed to do that a lot. Like, didn't he have a pair of red and black shoes that didn't match the Bulls' colors, so they fined him?
Yeah. And to Michael, it wasn't about the money because to him, he's always made good money. Mm. And, it was really funny because in Wilmington at the Cape Fear Museum, Michael's very first job was he worked at a hotel/restaurant. It was back in the day, there was a motel and it had a restaurant attached to it. And what he would do was he was kind of like one that helped with cleanup and maintenance around there. He worked for $3.10 an hour. His first check was like $137, and that was like a 40-hour week.
Shoo-wee. That's different than nowadays.
Well, and you know, he came from, you know, he was taught morals, and he was taught if you want something, you've got to work to get it. Everything's not going to be handed to you. His mom was a stay-at-home mom. She was very much involved in her kid's life. His dad worked for GE. So everything they had, they worked for. And they were taught as kids that if you want it, you've got to go and get it. You got to work hard. You can't quit. You'll never accomplish anything if you give up and you say you can't. And Michael has always said, even growing up, can't should not be in anybody's vocabulary. Because if you want it hard enough and you work hard enough, you can achieve it.
Yeah, that's a great quote. Okay, so the assignment was find someone who changed the world. How do you think Michael Jordan changed the world? In summary.
Well, I think that Michael changed the world in a lot of ways because he showed that you could go from being just your average middle class kid to being a superstar if you focused and you worked hard and achieved what your goals were, and not expect for somebody to just hand you everything. You've got to work for it. And it's okay to have fun and goof off and do silly things, because he was a cut-up. Even in college, you know, he would do silly things. But to stay focused, and if you have a dream, work hard and succeed, and not expect everything to be given to you. Stay humble. Keep your family and your faith close to you, and you'll succeed. And Michael has always been that way. You don't hear about him in the headlines. You don't hear about him. If he has an opinion about something, he doesn't get involved in it like LeBron James. Every time you hear LeBron saying this or saying that, Michael just kind of raised his family, did his career, and stayed out of the limelight.
Yeah, he's inspiring.
He truly is, because if Michael can grow up from just your average middle class kid to be the billionaire superstar that he is. He's got 5 kids that you don't read about in the tabloids, you don't hear about in the tabloids. So that goes to the way he was raised, that you live right, you raise your family right, you keep family and, faith close, and life is good. And I think that, of all things, is inspiring. He inspired us all to do hard and to work hard at anything we wanted, that we could achieve just about anything. And I think that's what he's changed the world and showed a lot of younger kids, that's how you achieve things, is to work hard and to stay morally sound and keep working. Never say no. Anything's possible.
Thank you so much for your time, Miss Pamela. I really enjoyed this interview. I hope you get to feeling better.
Thank you so much. And I want to tell you one more thing. There's always been the question of what happened to all the Michael Jordan rookie cards. And, honestly, back in the day, when we actually were in school, we would actually take Michael Jordan rookie cards and clothespins and put them on our 10-speed bicycles, because, everybody had Michael Jordan cards. That was our way of paying homage to him and saying, look, I got Jordan cards on my bicycle. And everybody had the Jordan cards. Now, saying that, if we'd have known back in the day that he was going to grow up to be what he is, none of us would have probably put his rookie card on our bicycle.
Yeah, that thing's probably going for big money right now.
It is. It's that's why there's so few of them, is, what happened to all the Jordan cards? That's because all the dumb people in Wilmington that really liked him rode around with him on our bus. So, but anyway, I hope you. When is your report due?
I'm doing my presentation on the 11th.
Well, good luck. I hope you get a good grade.
All right.
I hope I was able to help.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great Merry Christmas.
You too.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.